Hello and welcome to the Expressed on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Rich Adrian-Smith. This podcast is on a journey to uncover the essence of full authentic expression and what it means to be expressed on purpose and live a rich life. My aim is to help high-achieving executives and entrepreneurs who, despite their success, still feel empty and stressed, helping them to finally find true fulfillment, purpose, and freedom that they've been seeking all along, helping them to live their rich life. In this illuminating episode, I speak with Allana Pratt, a world-renowned intimacy expert and coach, about the profound journey of self-discovery, emotional healing, and authentic self-expression within relationships. We explore how the willingness to feel and integrate emotions leads to deeper understanding and fosters resilience. Allana shares her personal experiences with triggers and coping mechanisms, revealing how genuine support and sacred practices can guide us through discomfort towards a place of growth and transformation. Our conversation dives into the interplay of masculine and feminine energy, the importance of community and for accountability, and the power of rituals and rites of passage in relationships. Listeners will gain insights into creating a safe environment for vulnerability, recognizing when coping strategies become detrimental, and how to effectively show up in both personal and professional realms. Let's dive in. Welcome, Allana Pratt, to the Expressed on Purpose podcast. It's lovely to have you here and to see your beautiful face again.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I love the way you say Allana because of your accent, Rich, is so debonair, and Allana. So yeah, Allana Banana from Canada. It's so
Allana
great.
Banana, yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
you're so great. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to reconnect with you this way and sort of have this like deep dive, but also a reflection on what's happened in our relationship and how we met as a contribution to everybody listening. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, that's a great place to start. So I want to kind of set the scene with how we first met. So around this time last year, I got a little bit triggered in my own relationship with LA around our intimacy. And we, at that point, were parents to a beautiful 3-year-old, and there was a little baby on the way. So having intimacy challenges at that point in time isn't really ideal in terms of relationships. And yet they were there and they were present. And so someone, Ella, had heard about you before and your powerful work in relationships and working in intimacy with couples. And so we had that session together. And really what stood out for me in that first session was both your deep authenticity and ability to be honest and transparent. And something you called out in me directly was you don't know who you are and you don't know your own self-worth. And those two things kind of hit home and cut pretty deep. And being seen in that state, I then was able to recognize, okay, this is someone I want to work with and a path I want to go on because you saw that. And so just starting there, I'm curious to kind of have you set a bit of the scene around this aspect of knowing who you are and kind of uncovering your own identity as being this foundational piece of becoming the one to find and awaken the one.
Thank you. Yeah, the only reason, my love, that I could see that in you is you're me, right? I'm here to teach what I'm here to learn. It was only through my own acknowledgement that I didn't have a relationship with myself that was kind, that I was always trying to be 3 steps ahead, looking for safety and approval on the outside, rather than having that sense of home on the inside, that led me to even do this work and become an intimacy expert. When I first discovered I had an inside, even, I was spinning so fast on the outside, I never even slowed down to feel. I think I was probably 24/7 disassociated, just trying to, succeed at life, survive. When I started to go, oh, I have a little you on the inside. And when I looked inside, Rich, I was so ashamed because she was so insecure. Come on, let's get with the program. So more self-criticism when I started to look inside, more fixing, more humiliation, more just deep. I didn't trust life, let alone myself. And on the inside, it was very like sensations of nauseousness, anxiety, like trepidate, like a lot of tension in my shoulders, and a really fake smile, just to let nobody know how terrified I was all the time. So as I started to become the one, go inside, I had to learn how to feel. And I had never known how to do that. I know how to disassociate. I know how to have another glass of wine at night. I know how to go zone out on social media. I know how to work my ass off and give to everybody else. But I didn't really know how to love myself. I didn't really know how to have patience with myself. I didn't really know how to cultivate what is this thing called self-love. And the more I looked inside and learned how to feel a feeling, I think at the bottom of it all, yes, there was anger and rage and shame and all the rest of it. But kind of for me, at least on the bottom, hopelessness. Like, I have failed so many times. Why get up again? Or life. I was also like hopeless with life. Like, come on, I give it my all and you're not helping. You know, how could you, and all the things that have happened in my life, whether they're divorces or not speaking with my son for a period of time, or my mom dying, or my best friend dying, just the things that have happened, mad at life, hopelessness. And then at the end of the day, it must all be my fault. So self-hatred. So as I learned how to, with my work with my facilitators, how to actually feel a feeling, not to get rid of it. That was my mistake. I thought, well, you feel the fear to get rid of it. You feel the pain to get rid of it. But those were little aspects of self that I was trying to get rid of. So I was becoming more fractured rather than more whole. And when I learned it wasn't about getting rid of it, it was about integration, like the alchemy from lead to gold. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to hit little you with a 2x4 across her head. I want to give her a hug. I want to give her compassion. I want to feel with her all the way through to zero. Then the energy no longer was pain. It was wholeness, calmness, confidence for no reason. And then it was courage and bravery. And then that turned into the capacity to speak up. And in relationship now with another, if it doesn't go according to plan, if they're not understanding me, if they're not agreeing with me, if they're not giving me what I want, I don't have to control them anymore. I can just be. I can be curious. I can lean in. I can open my heart. I can be patient. I can ask questions. I don't need the outcome to be different to be okay. And that has changed everything. It's changed everything, not only as a woman, as a lover, as a parent, but also in my business. When something's not going right, an email didn't go out, a client's not happy, somebody didn't sign up, someone doesn't want to renew, I'm okay. I just get curious. I can instantly own something. I even think they might be batshit crazy, but it doesn't matter. Their experience is what matters. So I'm sorry. Whatever I did or my staff did, even if it's through their lens of their crazy ass projections and actually everything's like clean on my side of the street, it doesn't matter. I'll still say, I'm so sorry. How can I make up for the damage done? Because it's not about being right anymore. When you go from the 3D, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm in charge, win, lose metrics. When you move into 5D and you're aligned with yourself, it's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's about what can we do to create a win-win situation here for them and for me, and thus for humanity. So my business is more successful with more ideal clients, and my friendships are deeper. Even like I sleep better because I'm not spinning in my head all the time. And I'm turning 55 at the recording of this in 2 days. And yeah, there's some wrinkles and there's some things in the body, but I feel so like beautiful in this really innocent way that only comes from having been so betrayed, but still choosing to open. Yeah. That was a long ass answer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, happy birthday for a few days. You don't look 55. You obviously got some magic elixir of feeling your feelings, helping you to be youthful in the aliveness of that. But yeah, wow, thank you for sharing all of that. There's so many different directions to go in, and I'm kind of trying to gauge with the listeners of what level that they're going to understand any of what you've just said and how that actually corresponds to them. But I think starting fundamentally at this aspect of feeling being something that we're not taught about at school or by our parents, and let alone our parents or society even knowing what it really means to feel and how to go about feeling. And on this journey that I've had through breath work, helping me to connect into my anger, helping me to allow messy sadness to come out in wailing and crying. And then in the work that we did together, kind of using psychedelics, MDMA and cannabis to take that to a whole nother level, because my capacity was increased through the psychedelics to allow me to go even deeper than I even had any idea or comprehension of what was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without going into those substances, because they're kind of at the end spectrum, how do you support people and recommend for listeners to kind of start that journey into feeling their feelings in a safe way so that they can start to give those hugs to those part of ourselves that are feeling self-hatred and feeling lack of love and feeling worthless, and instead of trying to hit them across the head, to start feeling with them? How do you kind of recommend or support people at the start of that journey?
Yeah. Well, I only started facilitating psychedelics only like maybe 3 years ago or so. I did some early on psychedelic journeys like 20 years ago, like in Peru and ayahuasca, this kind of thing. And just one thing that I want listeners to understand, any substance, I believe, can be used to check out or check in. We can drink, we can do drugs, and use these psychedelic medicines to leave, and our body will follow that, our brain will follow that. But also in very low doses, we can use them to check in. And the main deal that is so beautiful about this use of psychedelics is it gets us out of the mind. We'll call that our secondary consciousness. This is what we think we know, kind of like the tip of an iceberg, very small above the water. That's what we're consciously aware of. And I'm an Ivy League grad. Like, I'm a super smart girl, but like didn't do any good to discover and heal what was going on under the water, the huge size of that iceberg. We call that our primary consciousness. It's before thought. It's before figuring out meaning and all of that. It's what the body has gone through and what the body has experienced. And it is what we're healing when we feel. Cognitive analysis is basically cognitive behavioral therapy, which unfortunately has only statistically 17 to 24% success rate that goes down over time, because for this very reason, there's only so much we can figure out. And we know better. Like, we all know not to date a narcissist. We know that. But there we are, attracted to them. They're the one, trauma bonding, because the body is what's attracted. So with great humility and great bravery, when we start to feel, what we want to be aware of is we want to go into the body, and it's not going to make sense, and it's going to feel out of control for a short period of time. And what we want to know is that the body is something to be trusted. The body is something to be honored. That even though we're all so clever, it's the body that's going to heal us when we trust the body and surrender to allowing an emotion to go all the way back to zero. And well before I did any psychedelics, my 10 Allana Pratt method processes, none of them require drugs or psychedelics at all. They are just practices in learning how to feel fear, anger, hopelessness, self-hatred, betrayal. There's these flavors that feel beyond. It's just like, how could they? How could God? How could my ex? How could I? It's all the but that's all the spinning in the mind. Why? More mind. But when we just surrender the mind and we go into the body to feel, what we're going to find is maybe throat constriction or it hurts in your heart, like literally heartache. It might be nauseousness in your belly. Maybe as a woman, you might clench your vagina. Maybe your hip flexors are getting really, really tense. Maybe your shoulders are up a few inches. And you just walk around like this and you have no idea. As you start to feel into the body, it'll be sort of like a dance between body sensation, emotion, body sensation, emotion. And it's not also linear. So you think, oh, I have a wave of, I'm really angry. Well, quite often under anger is anguish or sadness. And so you think you're done with the anger. Maybe. Great. But now there's going to be a wave of something else. And so can we still have gentleness and compassion with ourselves? Can we still trust the body knows its way home? And one of the beautiful things about trauma, and trauma, you don't need to be in a war to have trauma. It's just any time that emotion wasn't held to facilitate it all the way home back to zero again. Somebody said, "Oh, boys don't cry," or "You should be seen, not heard," or we don't say that around here," or "Go to your room." Whatever we've been told over and over and over and over as a kid, at some point it was not safe to feel, so we just disassociated. We just checked out. So as adults, we're going along in life and everything's fine and we know better, but then something happens. And this is the beauty, and the beauty of your relationship, the beauty of all relationships. When you come together, you're perfectly designed to trigger core childhood wounds, not to hurt each other or piss each other off, but to literally awaken that wound, and in the sanctity of that relationship, heal self and heal each other. It's so beautiful how your wound and LA's wounds were equally just like puzzle pieces to trigger one another, or a nicer way is to say to awaken one another, to do the work so that you both are more and the relationship is more. And that's one of the reasons I adore you. And I said, "Oh my God, I'd love to be on this podcast," is you both do the work. It's rare. Most of the time people come to me and only one does the work. And that can still shift a relationship in a positive direction. But when both do the work, both take ownership, both individually heal, and then have that communicative practice together, there's a threshold when you're in the real moment where here's the trigger that as a kid you were rejected, you were abused, you were told to shut up, and you know in your mind that your partner is not the devil, but your body's pretty sure it's going to die. It feels like it's going to die. And you go through that threshold with a partner that's conscious, and you get through to the other side. Your autonomic nervous system literally begins to rewire in the presence of your beloved. It's beautiful. So back to the beginning of the question, feeling is about staying in the body, trusting the body, allowing nonlinear, who knows where it's going to go, waves of these emotions. And you know you've integrated an emotion when that very same situation or circumstance doesn't trigger you. You might not like it or prefer it, but it doesn't make you leave your body. You don't react. You're able to stay in your body. You're able to feel your feet on the ground. You're able to breathe and keep your heart open, and you're able to respond and not need the situation to change for you to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully said. Really expanding that ability to tolerate that level of reaction so that it's not blasting you out of your window of tolerance and you have to dissociate, be able to stay with the sensation because you've become kind of more strengthened to it. Just like you would at the gym doing some reps, you can hold the same weight after you've done lots of reps as you could later on. And so
One thing before we go on, if it's okay, Rich, because you said something really wise there, the window of tolerance. Typical cognitive behavioral therapy stays away from the window of tolerance. Oh, getting a little anxious, getting a little upset. Let's just bring it down. But in my experience, the way I've been trained is that we actually go for the window of tolerance. We go into the window of tolerance. We go to the pocket of the deepest, darkest owie, and we sit in the fire and we burn and we surrender to the body to bring us home. And for me, that's been a game changer. Because I've been very good about aborting the window of tolerance, but it only made the problem worse, not better. So thank you. That is, and that's why that's why trauma occurs in a relationship, but the effective healing of trauma also occurs in relationship, so that I had your back while you were going through that. You were witnessed safely. Your body was witnessed safely. You weren't judged. You were honored and loved. And that allows a whole new rewiring of the pattern inside our body to happen.
Yeah, really allowing that big responsiveness to take its space and to follow those sensations. That was kind of the curious piece for me of really being like this detective following the breadcrumbs of bodily sensations until that little pocket suddenly explodes out with emotional sensation and then thoughts and ideas and beliefs and memories and all of these things kind of floating around, which then triggers other sensations in your body, and you go on that journey of, as you kind of continuously said, trust body, allow, and a really allowing of the sensation to be. And this is something I've kind of come across recently of a realization of being miswired within what a bodily sensation is trying to tell me. So for example, wanting to have some chocolate and as a thing of, oh, I'm suddenly craving chocolate, I'm craving coffee, I'm craving something kind of dark and rich and fulfilling. And actually that's a subconscious request or a requirement or a need that's not being met fully. And in allowing that feeling of wanting to take up space, suddenly then there's another pocket underneath it, which was what was actually there all along. It's like the top of the iceberg says, I want chocolate. And beneath the iceberg says, I'm feeling hopeless right now. I need something to fulfill me. I'm needing something chocolatey and rich to fill that void inside of me.
Oh, that's so well said. Yeah, so well said. And that you're aware of it and that you stay with it and that you honor it. You don't try to fix it. You don't try to make it go away. You don't try to get through with it. You just go, okay, let's feel. Here we go. Hopelessness.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, because then you have to go through these waves. And this was a curiosity I had with you around no one's going to really understand the level of emotion that any other person has really gone through unless you've seen and you've facilitated them through it. And I've kind of asked you this question before, but there's a curiosity around, with increasing your window of tolerance and with feeling through kind of these feelings, for example, with that chocolate example, do you feel like you get better at feeling them through faster, or being able to stay with them more easily, or being able to approach it more easily? Or what kind of happens as you start to evolve on this journey of emotional intelligence into this deep integration of the body and the mind?
Yeah, definitely it gets easier. It's almost like if you can go for the big domino in the first few journeys, I've probably done 35 of this type of protocol journeys, staying in the body tier 1 and doing this trauma integration work. So in the beginning, the traumas were big and scary and awful, and I was sure I was going to die. And then as I kept doing them, I got through them faster. So it's almost like the big domino took all the little dominoes down. So it was almost like I was dealing with tendrils after that. And then after the big ones came, it was almost like, I hope this doesn't sound too weird, but almost like multidimensional capacities within my being started to wake up. I wasn't just waking up Allana, the intimacy expert. There was maybe like an indigenous crone type of archetype energy. And she's eccentric and she's wild and she doesn't give a shit about anybody. It was like a capacity that I had to face. And it felt very similar in the body of like, oh my God, I might get rejected. Oh my God, they might hurt me. It's like, it felt similar, but what was on the other side of integration, which is always a seed is planted at the end. Wisdom is there. It's an energetic embodiment. I felt more in my hips. I felt older but wilder and crazier. I don't know. Or maybe it was more ethereal. Maybe it was more angelic. I felt like more capable of keeping my heart open and having tenderness and compassion. These different capacities started to come through. So to me, this is the case with all feeling, whether you use psychedelics or not. The more you feel through Niagara Falls in the beginning, then it's going to be more like a stream. And it's also good. It's almost like cleaning out a room in the house. If you only go in to clean out that room once every 20 years, it's going to build up. But if you have a practice of like once a week, I go be out in nature. I take 2 hours, I sit, I take my journal, I feel, and I listen. Or that would be a solo practice, but we all know that healing occurs in relationships. So, hey, I have a coach and we meet once a month and we make time to feel. Or as a couple, once a year, we go on an intimacy retreat. This is what we do to make the time to feel, the elephants in the living room, that we just don't have a chance to really have that spaciousness to dive deeper than what we can get handled on date night in 2 hours before the sitter needs to go home. And so it's about creating space to feel. And yes, it gets easier over time. And in relationship, as you start to do this work, it would be really good as these feelings are coming up with your partner. Perhaps, I'm not saying this is anybody here, but I would definitely blame my partner. It was all their fault. It has nothing to do with me. And so as we begin to take ownership and do this work and an emotion comes up, to say right out of the gate, this isn't about you. This situation is triggering my core wound. Would you just hold space? Would you just, or give me space? But to be able to clean up any of the projections that we've done, like if only they would change, everything would be fine. no, this is my stuff. This is the beauty of our relationship, is it's triggering this. And then ask for what you need, make your request. And that way you can come closer through these intensities rather than the other partner being blamed or projected onto, or just not even knowing what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. The next piece kind of comes up here nicely, and it's around this concept of full authentic expression. And so you've kind of talked about it then, and I'm curious of what your take is on it, especially within relationships, and whether or not your authenticity can be met by someone else's ability to hold that space. And there's obviously, as you kind of alluded to, other outlets which are healthy ways to kind of manage your own shit rather than bring it into a romantic or a partnership kind of relationship. And so I wonder what your thoughts are in terms of this journey to full authentic expression being this foundational need that humanity kind of needs to go on in order to live a more wholesome and fulfilling life within relationships, romantic and with family and with business people. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Thank you. I think I'm going to call it pressure on one human to be there for all my needs of expression is irrational, unrealistic, and unfair, because I don't even think that's possible. I think couples need to have agreements in place that honor the sanctity of the relationship. So if you want to have sex with other people or not, like these kind of arrangements need to be expressed. I think every woman needs a women's group. Every man needs a men's group. I believe, at least for me, I've been a coach for 22 years. I can't imagine never having a coach because I can't see my blind spots. And how dare I try to coach others if someone's not holding me to the same standards, right? So I believe it takes a village of people who can be with my full self-expression. To date, there's only been perhaps a few men in my different relationships over time who could be quote unquote with all of me without being triggered. And so no fault on theirs, but I have mentors, my colleagues, the coaches I hire, who can totally be with that. But they don't have to live with me. They don't have to have sex with me, right? So again, each has their own lane where I can be all of me and have the experience of being all of me in integrity, in partnership. And if I don't feel like I'm being expressed, keep asking the question. What else is possible that I've never considered? Where might I be able to express this and that, which still honors the agreement of my primary relationship? Otherwise, we're just being a victim. I just don't take on the belief that we're here to be suppressed. I believe we're here to give our genius and give our gifts, and that's only going to come through brave truth and full self-expression. It's just what that's going to look like is unique for each person and each couple.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's really a unique lens to be looking at this kind of approach to relationships.
One other thing, Rich, before we go to the next question, I'm also a student as well. So currently, one of my coaches is someone I've interviewed on my podcast several times, John Wineland, and his teaching partner, Kendra Kunov. And there's a big group of us. There's mini groups. There's homework. There's all these different things we do. And some of the gentlemen have been sharing, and I'm learning a lot from them, the participants, how they want to bring, let's say, a dark sexual energy into their relationship, and their current partners makes them uncomfortable and scared. And so instead of shutting down, we're experimenting with, if I'm a 10 out of 10 energy, just with my eyes. If I'm a 10 out of 10 authentic expression, just with the openness, penetrating her with my heart. And we're not even moving our body yet. And so really looking at another way of what does full self-expression look like? Does it need to be physically moving? Does it need to be verbal? Does it need to be an action? Or can I allow all this energy to move through me and I'm absolutely still? Which is really hot, actually, when a man can be all of that energy and just be spaciousness itself as well. So, and so same with me. The feminine would be the expression of the love. That would be our feminine energy. And the masculine would be the depth and the spaciousness to receive it within ourselves. So can my internal divine masculine hold space for my hot mess, for my dorky insecure one, for my raunchy naughty one, for my angelic sweet one? Like, can I, within myself, my divine masculine, hold space for my full self-expression? And that's another piece. Even though I'm not in relationship right now, it's never my partner's responsibility to make me happy, to make me safe. That's still my job. So all of this expression, we could say, is both internal and external.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's the work of John Wineland is very powerful. He's from that lineage of David Dada, and
Yes.
exploring some of his work was really eye-opening within this idea of polarity, and within this, as he talks about masculine and feminine, not necessarily identifying with genders, but of these different types of energies that operate within us. And you kind of alluded to some of them, of safety and support and action versus kind of intimacy and love and creativity, and as you also alluded to, this infinite loop when both of those things can come together in a supportive way. And I am continuously kind of surprised and curious when I'm able to be with LA and recognize a moment of when I need to be in my masculine rather than be in feminine, or be in a needing of support, and being able to support her, and then she can soften, and then suddenly the dynamic shifts, rather than, for example, just today, she was worried about pressuring herself in her business and financial challenges. And we have financial challenges at the moment as a couple. And I was able to say to her, no, I'm going to support you through this. And I'm going to make enough money to be able to pay for you to go on this trip in a few months. And she just said, well, why would you do that? And I just said, because I love you and I want to support you and I believe in you. And then in that moment, she was able to soften and feel through what was underlying those fears to begin with.
Yeah.
And that helped that to shift into a state of kind of neutrality and power, rather than being in that vulnerable state. So it's interesting within that dynamic of being in couples, of even if you have your own fears, being able to support the other can help the infinite loop evolution up through the feeling that becomes a bit of a dual relationship, rather than saying, you're afraid, I'm also afraid, let's both be afraid together, and now we're just going to go in this rumination journey into the void of being annoyed at each other and frustrated, and then not being totally present in your work and with your kids, and all of the knock-on effects of having not made that one decision of saying, I'm just going to suck up my own shit and just be present with you.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that today. In working with the two of you as couples as well, noticing where it would just sort of stop. It wouldn't quite land to allow the figure eight to go back for both of you, and seeing through like a third party's eyes. So it sounds different when I say it than when you say it to her. She says it to you, and going, oh, I can do that. I can give that. I can be that. I can surrender. I can support, whichever. And then watching, oh, there it is. Now the figure eight is happening. It's going, again, that threshold, going beyond where you'd normally go, thinking you need them to be another way for you to be full, safe, seen, held, all the things. It was exquisite working with
And
you.
even on that journey, to be totally transparent, there was a lot of days where you had invited me to give LA a hug in the morning and to say to her, I've got this, I'm here to support you, I'm to support the family. And there was a part of me that felt out of integrity in saying that, because I didn't believe it. And I know that I communicated it in a way that was not fully committed or not fully courageous enough. And then now, after having done that multiple days, multiple times, having gone through my own journey, I'm now able to step more fully into the truth of it and really genuinely believing it. And that energy has so much more power than kind of pretending. And yet the pretending and acting was a step along the path toward this moment today, as an example, where then we were able to soften and shift in a very healthy way. And so that's another part I wanted to kind of bring to the surface, was this idea of practice.
Yeah.
This idea of continually coming back, failing, or things not going to plan, of not being able to be with your own feelings and sensations fully, and yet the next day saying, that happened and I'm going to still be with you here today, and practicing again.
Sacred practice is so underrated. It's so safe just to listen to another podcast or read a book or what have you, or even in a coaching session where the coach is holding space. It's a whole other thing to get on the court and fall down and have to get back up again. And to me, the only way through is you showing up and saying, I will do everything in my power to protect you and provide. The mind has no clue how that's going to happen. The reality may be that you fall down 7 times and get up 8, right? It may be a complete restructuring of where you live, how you live, all the things. And when you can be that for yourself and stand up for yourself all the time, that is the same thing as standing up for your family and being there for your family. And the only way through that is to practice every single day and bump up against your own insecurities and lack of authenticity or disbelief you could really do it. And then I'm so glad to hear this, that by practice, which doesn't mean perfection. It's not a goal to accomplish. That's why it's called a practice. It's an everyday muscle that we need to keep working in order to maintain that muscle tone or that capacity within our body. And for me, I'm actually in a launch right now, and I don't have as many signups as I desire by this point in the launch. And I was talking to my team this morning, and it was the same thing. It's like, let's keep showing up for the practice. Let's keep showing up. Maybe this course is going to be evergreen and more people are going to do it 3 years from now. We don't know, but let's just keep showing up and doing the good work. Let's keep giving from our authenticity, and let's be open. Do we need to pivot? Where could we communicate better? But rather than collapse and give up and be a victim, and to be a conscious leader of an organization where there's 6 of us and they all have their opinions, and I'm uncomfortable, and I could just try to pretend I had it all together, and that would have been inauthentic. So to start the call off this morning, our team bonding call, I'm disappointed. And so it's not one or the other, it's both. I'm disappointed, and what's right about this, and we don't know the plan of the divine, and what else is possible. And it's a wonderful way to be in a work relationship, and then to take it as intimate as to you and Ellie. I mean, congratulations that there's more elegance to repairing the rupture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also something that John Wyland said of within the masculine energy, wanting to kind of achieve a goal, and that being that energy of a 0 or 1, you've either achieved it or you haven't.
Right.
And yet there's that constant ability to make those steps and to make progress towards it.
Yeah.
And also within life of I guess I'm on this journey totally, which is to get comfortable in that discomfort of not having things worked out, and being able to be with it, kind of come back to the window of tolerance earlier of rather than checking out, this is too much, too intense, checking in again. And for me, it was interesting because the clarity has come now of needing to make a 21-day nervous system reset and resilience course to help with building nervous system resilience and resetting. And that's the journey that I need to go on myself.
Yeah.
And that's the journey that I keep speaking to people, and they keep saying the same thing of, I'm stressed, or I don't know what to do in my job, and I don't know how to be in my relationship with my partner. And it keeps sending flags in my head of, you need to feel your emotions. You need to understand your nervous system. You need to come back to your body.
You're awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
And there's been this, so previously I was going to focus on the rich life mastery, and I had this acronym for RICH, which was return inward, come home.
Yeah, that's lovely.
And it also forms a part of this framework that I'm creating, which is to regulate, integrate, create, and harmonize.
That's also
and
lovely.
So it's really this feeling your feelings, integrating them, creating from there, and then harmonizing with the reaction of it, and then coming back in that full circle, constantly rolling through.
Right. Oh, I love this, Rich.
Yeah.
And it's your name.
Yeah. That was always the thing. I was always trying to make, I knew there was something about the name, and I just wanted to explore it, and I was trying to force it before, and then one day it just landed.
Brilliant.
And I'm grateful for it, because this first stage is exactly where I'm at today, which is focusing on the nervous system, focusing on feeling, focusing on doing the things I know I need to do, and yet I have the resistance to them, and really exploring this resistance to it. Because I think myself, and for everybody else, it's kind of, you shouldn't be scrolling on your phone, you shouldn't be eating that extra thing of ice cream, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes or watching porn or doing whatever it is you do, and yet you find yourself there in that moment. And this is where I come back to this miscommunication of wires. And when we're able to actually say, oh wait, there's a signal here. What is actually the signal telling me?
Yeah.
Rather than I should just follow through on that signal.
Right.
To recognize that there's another part of your brain that's kind of taking control of the wheel. The chimp is saying, let's go this way because that's going to be fun and that's going to alleviate the immediate symptoms right now. And yes, it might be a 5-minute alleviation of them, and then you're back to the same, if not worse, because now you have the guilt of having done the thing again.
Yeah, it is worse. Yeah. I love this. It's the making of from a prince to a king, a princess to a queen. We have to be able to learn how to feel and regulate. It's so brilliant. I'm definitely here to teach what I'm here to learn. So I love that you're teaching this, and it's going to be a gift to you as well. But yeah, when that resistance comes, if it stops us, our dreams are stopped. The reason we were put on the planet is stopped. Mm-hmm. And yet if we can see it, not judge it, and have tools to move through it, that builds the embodiment of resilience to keep going. Like I, last night, definitely drank 3 glasses, not 2 glasses of wine. I was definitely on the call with a friend, sobbing my face off. I had to integrate in order to get on the call this morning with my team, take a deep breath and keep going. Now, I'm not saying this is not necessarily the best way of regulating, but that's what I did. And yeah, we just keep showing up. We just keep showing up. And when I imagine LA watches you do that, the trust goes up, the respect goes up, her nervous system calms down, she blossoms, she's more of a vortex to abundance and creativity, like it. And then that, look who I am to my beloved. She's not just saying thank you. She's, stroking my face and telling me I better wait till my date night on Thursday. Like, she's being, oh my God. And that inspires me. And then this is the beautiful figure 8 when we all do our work in relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I wonder what your thoughts are in terms of as a person, as an individual, or talking as a collective of this progress in relation to a certain level of standards at which we live at. And so you kind of alluded to there still having some vices, still having some parts of you that will use some kind of coping mechanisms in order to get through processes. And I wonder what your thoughts are, or maybe you can speak just personally of this, whether or not it's a goal of who Allana Pratt is working towards, and in relation to how other people, myself and others, can work towards their own goal without setting an unrealistic expectation. Like suddenly I'm going to be a monk and not have any vices and still be in the cities and the North American culture. And so I wonder how you kind of balance those two with yourself and with your clients.
Yeah. I'm thinking of, we're recording this, the LA fires, and I want to be there for so many of my friends or colleagues. And I lived in LA for over 20 years. Sometimes we need to survive. We just need to cope and get through, and we need to numb out and not judge ourselves until we feel safe enough to start to feel. So there are times when just survive and get through this. Get the kids to safety, get food, get a roof over your head, get through a death, get through the destruction of your home, get through to call the insurance companies, this kind of thing. Ask for help. And sometimes, like I've offered, I'm doing this 7-week course, and yet the fires are still going. And what I have to offer is an incredible 7-week journey to integrate a lot of wounds. They're not ready. They're still numb. They're still surviving. They still are living in their aunt's basement or whatever's going on. They're not ready for that yet. So there's a time. There's a time, and not that there's a perfect time, not that all of a sudden it's going to be easy or that, but there's a time when you know somewhere inside that it's time to stop running. And in fact, one of the most recent VIPs that I did, it was time to stop drinking. And he'd tried several times and had various stages of dryness. But what he really realized is he had to tell the truth. He had to slow down enough to tell the truth that he really didn't want to stop drinking. He just didn't want to lose his wife. Mm-hmm. So he's willing to do that just to keep her, but that's not a deep enough reason to truly make one of those really deep changes. And one of the outcomes of our VIP weekend together was this embodied notion. He would often, after one of our VIPs, go back and conquer it all and do all this. And he failed every single time because he was trying to do too much without having the roots for the shoots. And so this one now, and it's so curious because he was like, oh, I need to stop drinking, even though I want to drink, because what I want more is my family. Mm-hmm. And then along with it was the wisdom at the end of the integration of the autonomic nervous system was one day at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time, one step at a time. And the old one was an overriding of, oh, yeah, I'll stop drinking. I just want to keep my wife. Isn't it interesting that override also made him overcompensate, overdeliver, overgive, over, and he couldn't sustain it. But this time he got sobered to the reality of, okay, I choose my wife and kids over drinking. I don't like it, I don't prefer it, and I choose it. And then the wisdom on the other side was one day at a time. Yeah, so gentleness, patience, sometimes life we just need to numb out and cope and survive. And there comes a time when that is not supportive, but detrimental. Yeah. And then it's time to do the work.
Yeah, and it's key to recognize that of when a coping mechanism has gone past the immediate stressor situation is now habituated into, I can't deal with any of the things in my life.
Right.
And now I'm kind of stuck in numb mode for forever.
Right.
And that's a very hard place to be in. And that's, the first step of this journey is to become aware to that fact. And that is a hard fact to see. And that is essence of a blind spot because you don't realize that you're in that state a lot of the time until things start crumbling around you and issues start happening in your body and in your relationships and your business. And one of the things that within that I'm kind of alluding to here is this exploration of experiencing life fully without allowing yourself to slip down into those vices. And I wonder if you've seen or experienced or have any healthy ways of navigating that. Yeah,
community, a structure of a community. And I'm going to say a conscious community. Mm-hmm. So like a men's group, a women's group. My coaching programs are for a year. It was curious that I had done a series of work with the gentleman with the drinking. And when he was done, I'm fine. I don't need to really show up anymore to the calls. And I'm like, oh, isn't it curious that the drinking slipped when he was outside of community? And even on some of our private calls, he would still show up to the private calls, but just not the weekly, check-in with the group. And he would withhold what was actually going on. So to me, we're not looking for perfection. I'm certainly not perfect. But if we have a container if this was like a swinging back and forth, you can only swing so far and someone's going to catch you. So it's not going to get out of control. So for me, that's why I invite people to work with me for a year. So we do have that check-in on a regular basis. And we do have like a retreat and someone will say like, what's really going on? Or I'm able to go, hey, you've missed calls for 3 weeks and you missed your last private call. Like what's going on? So someone reaches out because you're going to be ashamed on some level, and you don't want to be judged. So you don't want that community to be your judgmental stepmother, like that's an archetype, that whatever. But you want to be in a community, make sure you're in a community where you will not be judged for being human. And you will be loved and held accountable to own your shit, but with fierce love and a stand for your glory and your purpose and your family and what really matters. And held gently that we all fall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the idea is we're all flawed, I believe, and we're all fabulous. So to have a community that sees that, doesn't judge you, and helps you get back up until you can stand on your own again.
Yeah, that's powerful. And for sure, you need to find those people who are able to hold that space and able to be in integrity and to not judge and to witness and allow you to share and to keep falling down and to have somebody there being in the ground that you're falling onto, and you can stand up again and you can go again, and they're not going to pull you down or hold you down and tie you into your own shame, into a spiral, which is often what happens in your own mind. Yeah. And that kind of feeds this beast. And someone, I think it was, Dr. Chatterjee, who was saying about how when people are out of alignment with their authenticity, that void there creates this emptiness, which you then try to fill with all of these other things, whether it's food, drinking, drugs.
Very well said.
so then recognizing that when you're in that space of, oh, I'm out of alignment, what's out of alignment? Where can I come back to in order to be in more integrity with myself? Realizing that there's a part of you that knows, there's a part of you that already is fully aware of this behavior not being the way you want it to be, and yet you're kind of in this childish immaturity around it because that's just the mindset that you've got yourself into.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me on to this kind of final couple of questions, which is around this transformation for each individual to go from man, woman into married relationship, man, woman into parents. And I wonder if you've seen any successful or ways that people have really created like a rite of passage around it. You know, the traditional being married and having the ceremony really doesn't celebrate or get into the intricacies, in my opinion, of what you're really committing to here. What are you really needing to grieve that has died? And what are you really needing to courageously step into in order to really be that version of yourself that is required to be a loving and committed father, a husband, wife, partner. And so I wonder if you've seen any processes for that.
I think it needs to be your next course after the one you're going to lead. Because normally when couples come to me, they're way past that and they're in the thick of drama and feeling unappreciated and haven't had sex and it's all their fault and they're not sleeping and all of this. So what you're saying is brilliant. And no, I have never had the blessing of getting pregnant with a couple saying, hey, why don't we create a ceremony, a ritual weekend around. I've done it when the kids are about to leave home.
Right.
I have it with that. When they're about to go empty nest. And one or both of the parents have just been way more busy with the kids than they have with each other or themselves. And they're really questioning, do we have a future? Because we're really good roommates taking care of kids. But now that it's just the two of us, is there anything? So I've had a lot of support with that place in a marriage, but not right out of the gate before kids. So I'm going to inspire you to create something like that in the future, because my God, it's going to be the death of each individual as a just like being single. It's the death of being single. Then it's the death of being in a marriage.
Hello, baby. You can bring Sophia to me. We're just finishing up, so you can start. You want to say hi to Lana? We're mid-podcast, but you can say hello.
Hi! Oh, it's
Hi,
so
Allana.
great to see you, beautiful. How are you? Radiant. Hi, lovey. Look at you.
Alana.
You want to
Oh my goodness, she's huge. Wow. Yeah. Hi. Oh, she's so happy to see her parents all together. Oh, how old is she now, sweetie? How many months?
She's 7 months and a half.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations. Yeah.
I have to
I know.
get on my goals, so.
LA has a Reiki training right now, so we're going to do
Beautiful.
a handover. So you can finish the podcast with me.
Sounds
As a
great.
special guest.
Yeah.
Bye, Allana.
Oh, it's great to see you, sweetheart.
See you soon.
Much love.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right. This is awesome. This is real life. Here we are.
This is real life. Yeah, this is kind of
Yeah.
what I was thinking would probably happen at the end of the session. If people have listened this long, then they get to see real life things happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Look at her. She loves her dad. It's so good.
but I guess what I was going to say was the one issue with that is people don't often do these things until there's an issue.
Correct.
And
Correct.
until there's some kind of problem. And so, trying to resolve something before it's there is kind of challenging.
It takes a very proactive person to be ahead of the game and say, what can we do that can support us? And also, we're going to go into the unknown. We're going to have to, on the fly, create things together. Do we have regular time to communicate so that it doesn't get past and we don't get parched and don't have any resources left to have a heart open conversation?
Yeah, for sure. Well, on that note, and with a very wriggly baby, I'd love to hear what resources you would like to share with the audience and where people can learn about you so they can find out about this new course or just to see some of your wisdom.
Oh, thank you. My site is my name, allanapratt.com. If you go /top 5 mistakes, That is a complimentary 5-video offering that I have to learn more about how you can, the top 5 mistakes that destroy a conscious relationship and how to turn those around. YouTube channel, 5.5 million views. So lots of content there and videos. My podcast, Intimate Conversations, that's another complimentary way. And then right on my site is an intimacy breakthrough experience. It's a way to have a one-on-one call with me if you're like, oh, I want to take this to the next level, so we can connect one-on-one about working together.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I can definitely vouch for the power of working with Allana and doing sessions together from a personal level, and just waiting for the time when I can take the next steps to join in and go a bit deeper. So
I look forward
thank
to
you
it
so
as
much
well.
for sharing your wisdom.
Yes,
Just really
Sophia.
get through. And it's been a pleasure to see you and
Likewise.
to share and to explore. So thank you for all the work you do, and thank you for the time meeting. And so you say bye-bye. This is very crackly for a podcast.
It's making great noise. Yeah, that's fun about it. Just what a blessing. Thank you for the honor of loving you and your family. Yeah, and for being
Thank
here
you so much,
today.
Lana. I appreciate your time, and best of luck with the launch, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Much love.
Great, thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you found some nuggets of wisdom that you can take away and start implementing in your own life. If you did, then it would mean a lot to me if you gave the show 5 stars and subscribed. That way you can come back for more next week and help spread the word. And if you really loved it and you want to find out more about how to work with me and how I can help you, then check out the links below or head over to my website, www.richadriansmith.com. And if this is bye for now, then I wish you a rich life.